Prep time has expired. I'd like to call all's order. Welcome to the sample debate for this year's Icho Cup. The motion for this round is this House would ban tobacco. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon Prime Minister to open the government case within 7 minutes. Here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hello viewers. Tobacco damages smokers and passers-by. However, smokers don't stop smoking because of addictiveness and social pressure. So, we should propose this motion. First, I will explain the model in this motion. We would ban the tobacco, and the possession of tobacco should be banned as the plan. So, possession of tobacco will be punished as plan. I will explain the nature of tobacco. Tobacco first, the bad for health, and second, addictiveness. And this nature promotes damage to smokers and passers-by. So I will explain the reason. First, tobacco is bad for health, for smokers own, and passers-by. The smoke is naturally bad, and the smoke increases the risk of the cancer of lung, as advertisement of tobacco says. So the risk of cancers and the other diseases will increase by smoking and sucking the other smoke for the passers-by and the smokers. For example, in the severe, children working and meeting the smokers. So, in the current situation, children suck the smokers smoke. They don't have the responsibility because they don't have smoke. But the smokers are smoking in the street. So, the passers-by of the smoke and the risk of the diseases will increase. And we can stop the situation in the current situation because there is no alternative. For example, in the house, in the current situation, parents smoke in front of children, and we cannot stop it in the under status quo. And under status quo, we cannot. We create the area to smoke in the current situation, but it don't work. For example, at Shibuya, in the current situation, the area to smoke will exists now, but the area is near to the station, near to the Hachiko Hiroba. So a lot of people work near the area to smoke. So a lot of people will be damaged by the smokers' smoke. So in the current situation, a lot of alternative will not work. So there's no alternative. So we should propose this motion. For passers-by, it is a clear harm. And I will explain the second nature. It is addictive and social pressure. Tobacco has addiction because of the nicotine, and the advertisement of tobacco say certainly tobacco has addictive ingredient. So the smokers cannot stop smoking by their own. So tobacco is damaged for smokers' own, and it is first choice for smokers own. For example, people like friends and colleagues smoke. When the people, his friends and colleagues smoke, the person hesitates to stop smoking and hesitate not to start smoking. So the choice will first. And for example, the fathers, the children whose father is smoking, the children think it is natural to smoke. So they probably smoke and after they grow up. So it is first choice, and the addictiveness is remain. So they cannot easily stop smoking. So it is the first choice. And after plan, the possession will be banned. So the amount of smoking is excessively decreased. So we should protect the safety of passers-by, and we should protect the health for smokers' own. And we should ban, not tax, because tobacco harms people who don't have responsibility like passers-by. So we should ban, not tax. For example, irregulation of speed by car is regulated in the Constitution. So because it has a risk of damaging to other people who don't have responsibility. So this illustration justifies this motion. So we should ban tobacco. Thank you.
I thank Prime Minister for his remarks. Next, open the case for side opposition and call upon leader of the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first of all, I would like to explain what I'll talk about. My argument is that first argument is that the government should let people do what they want to do. And second argument is that the harm of smoking is can be restrained. But before giving on my argument, let me refute what the government side says. First, the government side said that the smoking is harmful to the smoker's health and people and the health of people who are around the smokers. And second, they said that smoking is very addictive. So they said, and those are the reasons of because they made this motion. But first, I'd like to refute what they said. But first, if even if the smoking have a harm on their health, and it's not the it cannot be the reason of the banning. And so in the current situation, there are many things that have harm on the health. For example, the fatty food or alcohol or the food have chemicals, things have some harm on their health, but that are not banned because the government should respect the people's choice. So if the tobacco have the harm on the health, it's not the reason. It's not support this motion. And second, they said even if we under the current situation and the government made the place for smoking, but it's not prevent the passive smoking, but it's not true. But if we make rooms for smoking and that room don't let go of the gas of tobacco that harm not go out and if we impose severe punishment on those who violate the rules, and many people, almost all people will observe the rules. So we can prevent passive smoking. And the government side said that tobacco have addictive nature, but the addiction, but why the addiction is bad? But even if the tobacco have addiction, and only that, and not reason for banning this. But for example, even if even if we smoke, we can live rightly in the society, and so the addiction doesn't support this motion. Okay. Finally, I want to maintain that the government should allow people do what they want to do. and we can minimize the harm of the smoke, so we shouldn't ban tobacco. Thank you.
I'd like to thank leader of the opposition for his speech. Next, to extend the case for third government, I call upon member of the government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good afternoon, gentlemen in this house, and good afternoon, viewers. I'm the member of the government for this debate, and I'd like to propose this motion that we have to ban tobacco in order to reduce the harm for passerbys, smokers as well, but mainly the passerbys should be protected under the status quo. This is what we want to do, and this is why we are doing this motion. And this is the main reason, but before I move on and reconstruct my Prime Minister's speech, I'd like to say a few things about what the leader of the opposition has said. Well, first of all, they have said that the harm itself could not be a reason because fatty foods are allowed, but it can be a reason because think about it, marijuana is banned because its dangerous and addictiveness can destroy the man's whole life, and it is a social pressure might cause others the same harm as well, and the potential harm it has is the reason why it is banned, and it can be a reason. And even if that is not going to stand, it is still it is reasonable to ban tobacco because it is causing harm to others, which will not be permitted. So because of the comfort of one person, many other passerbys, many other people in the crowd will suffer from the smoke that the smoker is having just to fulfill his own feelings. And the harm for others is the main point here that we are going to ban, and so their point does not stand. And second of all, they have said that we don't have to ban tobacco in order to reduce the restriction of, in order to reduce the harm by tobacco for passerbys. But in the status quo, think about it, there are already the smoking rooms in, like, for example, in every station or in like some places in town or maybe in some buildings. There are smoking places, but think about it. So if you can imagine a smoking room in Shibuya, it is not sealed, and therefore the smoke is going all over the place. And when the doors open, they come out again. And that causes like the smoke to come out to a lot of places outside the smoking room, causing harm on the people outside the room. And there are also people that don't always smoke inside the room. For example, maybe smoking in houses causes bad effect on families. Smoking in rooms, smoking in some pedestrian walks and stuff like that causes harm on the passerbys, the pedestrians that walk around them. And they have been saying that restricting is enough, like for example, fining them badly, but under the status quo already, for example, in Suginami Ward, where the place I live in, there is already a fine that forces them to pay 500,000 yen when they smoke outside in like sidewalks and stuff like that. But there are under the status quo, there are already people who actually smoke outside their house, outside their own territory, and in the crowds walking toward their station. That already happens, and from this example, you can obviously see that restricting them and fining them and doing stuff like that has no practical effect, no practical way is not practical in order to prevent whatever the harm that is being caused to passerbys from the smoking itself. So therefore, their point does not stand, and so it is clear that what we have to do here is in order to prevent the passerbys from being affected by smoke, and to also prevent smokers from bad health. What we have to do is we have to ban it in order achieve this goal. And so this is what we are going to say. And let me move on to my points. And my partner has explained fully what the bad effects are for the smoker itself, and the bad effects for passerbys. The passerbys feel uncomfortable because of the smoke. The passerbys the risk of cancer can increase for the passerbys, and stuff like that. Those kinds of bad things, and maybe the fire itself can harm the passerbys, and those kinds of bad things happen to the passerbys. And so this is the bad effects that it causes for the passerbys that we want to protect. And there's obviously the risk for smokers as well. And second and my partner has talked a little bit about the forced choice and stuff, about addiction and stuff like that. So we are saying that the smokers as well are being partly forced to smoke because of the addiction by nicotine and whatever bad thing that is inside the tobacco. And so therefore, and maybe the suggestion for others, for example, like in a club activity, all of your senpai can come and say, oh, you have to smoke in order to be in this club and stuff like that. You have to smoke in order to be, for us to keep being friends, and so those kinds of things. Those kinds of social pressure and stuff like that. And those kinds of things actually occur, and that causes the smoker for more harm. So for people, that causes a bad effect for the smokers as well. And by taking this motion, I want to say that these things can be prevented. So if you take an example of marijuana, you don't see people like smoking marijuana all over the place. There's very less amount of marijuana being suggested to others and stuff like that. So by banning tobacco as well, the same thing can happen to tobacco, the more common drug that are being used today. If tobacco is banned, nobody's going to smoke, and nobody's going to smoke in public, which means that the passerbys are no longer going to suffer from the smoke. They're not going to be uncomfortable. They're not going to have an increase in the lung cancer and stuff like that. So that is a good thing. This is clearly a good thing for the passerbys that can be protected. And the smokers will not smoke anymore. So therefore, it can prevent the harm committed by smokers from tobacco as well. And since they have not shown us a counterexample, our side is what we are trying to propose is the best way that can prevent the harm for both the smokers and the passerbys as well. Thank you very much.
I thank member of the government for his remarks. Next, to extend the case without opposition, I call upon member of the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, our opposition side stance is that we shouldn't ban tobacco because of the harm of tobacco. It isn't enough for banning tobacco is our opposition stance. So, I will first want to talk about first should talk about the basic idea of letting people what they want to do. And second, when should the state intervene into this right? And third, how would this case apply to tobacco? And before moving on to my argument, I want to make some rebuttals to the government side. They've said that they've been talking about the smokers, the social pressure or the addictiveness of tobacco is being a problem to the smokers. But yes, tobacco has addictiveness and this might be some social pressures. But for the addictiveness, now there's many medical treatment you can take to stop smoking. There are many hospitals and many doctors who can provide stopping smoking treatment to you. So it isn't that hard to stop smoking right now. So this is the addictiveness isn't a problem. And then second, the social pressure and everything. Social pressure exists. Like maybe your friends want you to read some kind of comic they like. And in this case, or they might want you to drink. And this case is tobacco. So anything people around you might in some way force you. And it is always up to you to stand up to this thing. And the tobacco is the same too. It isn't that much of, it isn't, you have to fight with the social pressure, with the pressure from others. And if you don't want that pressure, all you have to do is leave that place. So the social pressure doesn't stand too. So those are the rebuttals, and then let me move on to our opposition side's arguments. First, basic idea of letting people do what they want. So we believe that people should be able to do what they want to do with their body. But this comes in the condition, which I'm going to talk next, as long as it doesn't harm others, and that harm is inevitable. So then let me move on to my second point. When should the state intervene into this right of people doing what they want to do? Like I said before, the people should be able to do what they want as long as they don't harm other people or that harm isn't inevitable. For example, in the case of marijuana, the drug addicts are probably going to go crazy, do mad things. They might stab someone in the stomach, they might kill their parents, they might do something. And this harm is completely unstoppable. This harm is the drug addicts killing other people or doing crazy things will happen, and we cannot stop this harm. This is why marijuana is banned too. But then think about the case of tobacco. Tobacco smokers don't go out killing people, or they don't do those kind of things. The only harm they're causing to other people is passive smoking. And our opposition believes that this harm of passive smoking can be eliminated. That is why, because smoking will not cause harm to others, and the basic belief of that people should be allowed to do what they want to do, we believe that people should be still allowed to keep smoking, not banned to be smoking. And the third point, how about the case of tobacco? So, they've said that preventing passive smoking isn't going to work. But they've given examples are bad examples. For example, the Shibuya example, it is a stupid idea, stupid planning of station. Putting a smoking area right next to the exit is stupid. But there's many other very working examples. For like in some restaurants, they moved it completely separated where they smoke and where they don't smoke. And the smoke doesn't go into the not smoking side. And many stations have completely sealed rooms where they can smoke only. So there's a workable way to stop the smoke getting into the other people's smoking places. And then the second part, how about the people smoking out on the streets? The problem that why people are smoking on the streets is because there aren't many places to smoke right now. Think about it. How many places in town do you think you can smoke? For example, maybe the station, maybe the very few places, because there's so many small legalized places, the only places these people can smoke are the streets and vacant lots. So we propose that, like, for example, we put a lot of smoking areas around the city which are completely concealed. And in those areas, people could be able to smoke. And because people won't have the stress to smoke, because if they want to smoke, they can just go into somewhere else, people won't smoke alongside the roads. And we will also introduce maybe a more stricter fine on the people too. So there's going to be two reasons. Because if you smoke on the streets, you'll be heavily fined. And anyway, there's going to be a smoking area from somewhere near you where you don't have to smoke. There's people who are going to smoke on the streets will vanish. So the passive smoking on streets too will disappear. And then how about the case of parents smoking with their children? That might be, for example, we could consider it like child abuse. We should tell parents not to do that. Go away from your children when you're going to smoke. And most parents care about their children. And if they're told that if your smoking isn't quite good for your children, they'll probably change their actions. And even if they don't change their actions, we could think it as like a kind of child abuse, and we could make them stop with legal force. So we can prevent that kind of passive smoking too. So right now, I've proved you that the passive smoking problem will not exist in our paradigm by taking precise measures. So then, because of the passive smoking problem disappears, no thank you, their harms all disappear. The only harms which will continue existing in our paradigm is the harm to the smokers, which they already all know because it's written on the boxes, and they still understand, no thank you, and they will understand. So in our paradigm, the smokers still understand their harm of smoking. They know their own harm, but they still understand and they keep smoking. And the government, we the opposition, believes that it should be a right to them to smoke as smoke. This is allowed and this is justified because we are able to prevent the harm to others. And in this case, as long as they're not causing any other people harm, the government we believe, has no good stance to ban these people's right. If we ban the right to smoke, we're banning the right to have, for those people to have pleasure. They're trying to protect other people's right. But what they're going to do is that they're going to harm the smoker's right. We think this shouldn't happen, and there's a way, as we've been proposing, to make this not happen. So for these reasons, because we can be able to not harm the smoker's rights, and also at the same time not harm the other people's rights, we strongly oppose to banning tobacco. Thank you for listening.
Thank the member of the opposition for his remarks. Next, concludes the case beside opposition and call upon opposition reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first, let me summarize this motion. To begin with, the government should let people do what they want to do, and the government should not deprive the people of the right of what the right of the people and have pleasure and the and under the current situation, many people enjoy the tobacco, so the government shouldn't ban tobacco. And then the government side said the harm of the tobacco is the reason for supporting this motion, but we want to refute that. And first, and they said the tobacco have harm on the smokers, but there are many things that are harm but on their health, but that are not banned by the government. So only the tobacco have harm on the health is not enough to ban the tobacco. And second, and they said the tobacco and the passive smoking are harmful to the others, but we can prevent passive smoking. For example, by making rooms for smoke and separate that from the other place, and we can prevent harm going the gas of tobacco and harming other people. But the government side said, and under the current situation, the fine are imposed on the people who violate the rules. But as I first said, and by strengthening the punishment, and many people will observe the rules, so that is not enough to banning tobacco. And so and as long as there are a way to prevent the harm of tobacco, we should protect the right of people and we shouldn't ban tobacco. Thank you for listening.
Thank opposition reply for his remarks. Lastly, to conclude the case of fight government, I call upon government reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In this debate, we and they are debating about two actors. First, smokers, and second, passers-by. And the risk, so if the risk of smokers, and this is first choice, we will win. And if the risk of passers-by, we will win. So, as the illustration of regulation speed, ban. At least, if the one reason about two actors remain, there's a reason why you should vote to us. So I will talk about two actors, and about two actors I will refute their argument. First, I will talk about speakers or smokers on whether, and so we and they suggest a lot of examples. So in this debate, the criteria to vote by this matter whether a lot of examples apply to tobacco. So what is the most related example to tobacco? Party food and drinking and marijuana and a lot of example suggested in this debate. And in this debate, marijuana is most related to drug, to tobacco, because it satisfies the two nature: first, addiction; second, social pressure. And so, marijuana is related to tobacco, and addictiveness is clear as tobacco, and social pressure is clear as tobacco. And they said marijuana, smoking marijuana, people who smoke marijuana harm to others by killing and killing. So this is banned, but it's not true. For example, certainly smoking marijuana damage and ruin their life by their own life. So it is main reason to ban marijuana. So this illustration is most related to tobacco. So for smokers, marijuana is most related to tobacco. So for smokers, our argument stands. And second, I will talk about passers-by. They say putting a lot of space, it is okay. They say, but it's not true, and the merit is very limited. And we cannot completely, by this plan, separate smokers and non-smokers. For example, Shibuya, a lot of space to near the station, but people smoke on the street near the area to smoke. So it is a moral problem. So by doing a lot of plan, it is not completely work. So it is a moral problem. So we should ban this. We should ban tobacco. And as an example, irregulation of speed by car. So if tobacco will damage to others, we should ban tobacco, as the illustration said. And in terms of tangibility, for passers-by, our plan completely safe by banning. But their argument, in their paradigm, a lot of plan will not completely protect the health for passers-by. So in terms of tangibility, you should vote to us. And even if minority smoker will suffer by banning tobacco, but it is the suffer is based on the addictiveness, and the suffer is contemporary thing. So we should focus on majority non-smokers. Thank you.
I thank Government Reply for his remarks. All the speeches are over. Thank you for your nice cooperation.